Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Sports Nasha, and with us today are two renowned guests, nutritionist Saili Naik and strength and conditioning expert Apurva Mathankar madam. Before we start, I welcome Saili and Apurva madam to our channel, and I would like to introduce Saili Naik. Saili has done MSc in sports nutritionist, founder Bullseye Nutrition, HN Reliance Hospital, Mumbai. Saili works with a lot of players who play for Ranji Trophy, IPL, Indian cricketers, Indian football players, badminton and powerlifting players of different associations, and also caters to athletes across sports globally. She also caters to clients for weight management and with medical conditions like diabetes and thyroid, etc. Welcome, Saili madam.
Thank you, Rajesh sir.
Yeah, I will give a short introduction of Apurva madam. First thing I would like to talk about her is she is a strength and conditioning expert, and she is a co-founder of SCA. I think Apurva, it is a USA-based organization, and she is the co-founder of its wing in India. I will request Apurva to tell about her in more detail because strength and conditioning is a very different subject in India. It has been recently introduced.
So, hello everyone. Thank you
Hi.
for the introduction and for the invitation. So, basically, strength and conditioning is nothing but preparing your athlete for his or her sport. That is the main thing. So, strength means actually preparing his muscles for the power and the explosive movement, and conditioning is about the metabolic conditioning of the athlete. So, every time you see that majority of the times the players are injured during the games or during their practice sessions and all. So the main basic reason for them to get injuries is because they are not actually, their body is not actually prepared to take that stress of the game. So in strength and conditioning, the main goal of the strength and conditioning is to prevent injuries. That is, we call it as a prehabilitation module, and that's the main concept of strength and conditioning, where we work towards keeping the athlete injury free and preparing him to improve his performance with giving exercises which are highly relevant to his or her sport. So that's the basic idea of strength and conditioning. Yes, absolutely. That was the biggest challenge because now we can say that we are almost 5 years old in India,
Yeah.
but strength and conditioning is new to India, but it's not new to the world because, yeah, you can see all the Olympic countries like the US, China, Korea, and everybody. So they are very much aware about strength and conditioning. But when we started in India, that time we really had to explain each and every sports coach as well as all the supportive staff of the athlete on what is strength and conditioning. That time, strength and conditioning was only for the elite sports. Like if you take it, cricket, it was only for the uh, A category players. It was not the B or the other club level cricketers were not aware about it. So slowly and steadily, we have achieved a lot. Like within this 5 years, our students are like, if you see, basically when we talk about sports in India, it is always cricket. So BCCI has made it compulsory or mandatory for the strength and conditioning coaches to be certified, and they have a strength and conditioning specialist in each and every team. So that's what is our achievement, and all our majority of our students are now, they are working with multiple athletes and at different levels. You can't just say only with the elite zones, but they are also working with the grassroots levels, because recently the Sports Authority of India has opened up so many employment opportunities for the strength and conditioning coaches. And so many of the coaches, the number of coaches has increased in the last 5 years, because as we started the education for strength and conditioning, initially people were aware about it, but the biggest loophole was they were not getting the exact way where to take the knowledge from.
Yes.
As Strength and Conditioning Academy India has started, there are multiple students and multiple coaches or the professional athletes who are taking up these courses. And now the strength and conditioning is going to the grassroots level as well, you know. So
Mm.
it's a very big scenario. The scenario has completely changed in the last 5 years. That's what we have seen. Yeah, the Pro Kabaddi leagues also have the strength and conditioning sport in their teams. So if you
Okay.
see that, so even these sports are also picking up. But yes, definitely it's not up to the mark. We are working towards it. So hopefully in the coming years, the picture will be better. That's what we hope.
Yes.
Because yeah, kabaddi, kho we actually that is the biggest thing which we are working on is we are bringing initially strength and conditioning was majorly for the American and the European sports. Like
Okay.
if you see, it was more for the basketball, tennis, and all these aspects. But
Okay.
we being in India, we are working towards the Asian sports.
Okay.
So our coaches are we are really sending our coaches for badminton, for pro kabaddi leagues, and all these sports, you know. So it's really, but it will take some time because currently now, as recently, the government officials are also very much serious about it. We are very much focused for 2024 Olympics as well as the 28 London Olympics. Sorry, the Paris Olympics. So we are very much focused, and the government is supporting us a lot. So it's going to take some time, but I'm very much optimistic about it that it will go to a next level soon. That's what we are working on.
For a basic nutrition would be to have like a balanced diet. So anything that so I always like to give like an analogy of so basic nutrition is necessary for your engine to run basically. So I always like to give an analogy in the sense like treat your body as an engine. Okay, so only if you're fueling it correctly, only then it will work better. So if you're not fueling it correctly with a good fuel, then it's not going to work at its maximum potential or in a good health. So nutrition is something that's it's necessary for basic health, for maintaining the basic health, right, in terms of preventing any kind of deficiency, and to prevent any kind of diseases that might be caused due to those deficiencies. So eating right in right combinations, right quantities, right way is something that's more important, and that's where nutrition or right eating habits come into the picture. Normally people believe that हम तो अच्छा ही खा रहे हैं या फिर हम तो healthy ही खाते हैं, we don't eat junk food. But even if you are eating healthy food in a incorrect way, or in not in proportionate way, or not in right quantities or in right combinations, even that may affect you negatively on your health overall. So yeah, so maintaining a balance of everything, of good and bad both, is something that's more important, to work on basic nutrition. So definitely. So as we all know that, all these sports persons who are, highly active in their gym workouts, in their practice sessions, in their different kind of training sessions. And so they burn a lot of calories as compared to a normal human being. So obviously the needs of these nutrients are a little higher as compared to a normal human being who is not very, active, or someone who is very sedentary. So the needs are obviously heightened for a sports person. The
Yeah.
second aspect would be to work on specific kinds of foods that may help them boost up their exercise performance, to boost up their muscle mass, body composition that they're looking for. Or next thing would be to have that extra performance edge that that they are seeking for in their sport. So all these specific functional foods, as we call them, which help them at one particular time. So like I said in my previous question as well, previous answer as well, that right types of foods, right types of right combinations of foods, and in correct timings. All these three factors, they play a major role for a athlete. Whereas in a general person, it may not or may not be applicable to that extent. So that's where we can differentiate for a athlete and for a general person. So I haven't been working with any kind of team, but all these team athletes, they consult to me directly. So I work on them individual on their individual personalized goals. So whatever that may be, and I've been working on personalized nutrition for them. Yes, definitely. So from the time I've been working, it has been like a major, breakthrough of working with all these elite players directly. So the very first athlete that I worked with was a Ranji player and an IPL player. So that has been like a very good impact on his performance all these years from the time he has been working with me, and he's still working though. So the fitness levels that he has achieved, uh, the the ball speed that he has been increased. So when he met me couple of years back, he was bowling at a lesser speed, but now the fitness levels, the nutrition that he's focusing on has helped him have those good recovery rates, lesser injuries per season, also good speed at bowling. So all these factors over the years, over the consistency of proper good eating habits and training habits have helped him evolve into a better player. So similar for many other athletes as well, not just cricket. So uh, so there have been athletes who have been getting injured very frequently, or have been having many injuries per season, and they have been away from the sport. So that's where they have realized that just training or having just skills is not much important. It is the fuel that should be there, that helps you ace up that sport. So yeah, I mean there've been many incidences where I've been experiencing good results for them, and I'm glad to help them all this time. Yes, so definitely. So I believe a lot of believe in working with the grassroots players, because that is the main age where they have that good muscle adaptability, or their training or eating habits are formed in that age. So hence it is very important for them to make them understand, make them counsel on how right types of foods will help them ace up their sport, why not just skills are important, not just training habits are important, but why particular nutrient or particular diet strategy might help them enhance their sporting performance. So it's a lot of work is happening around amateur players, where I've been working with a lot of amateur footballers, amateur kabaddi players as well, amateur cricketers as well, where a lot of counseling basically is more important in amateur players. Only once they know why it is important, only once they know the importance of it, only then the practices are possible. Is what I believe in.
Yeah.
So
So, for when we talk about strength and conditioning, as I told before, also that main goal of a strength and conditioning specialist is to keep the athlete injury free. That's what we focus majorly. So, as you told about the cricket, as you told about cricket, football, and other badminton athletes. So, the first thing is we will work on towards making their muscles or making their body even more stronger, so that they are able to take the stress of the game, because every game will have a different demands which we should understand first. So once we understand those demands, we are going to prepare the athlete for that, so he or she doesn't get injured while the practice sessions or while the games or the actual events. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is the performance enhancement. So now let's break it down to cricket, then the football and the badminton. So for cricket, if you are taking a fast bowler, now for initially if the fast bowler was bowling at 125 kmph, with our training, our goal will be to first keep him injury free, and second will be to improve his performance where he can go to 130, 135 kmph of his bowling speed. That's how his performance is going to get enhanced. That's how his metabolic conditioning of his body is going to get enhanced. The same thing happens with the footballer. So the football, if you see the football training, actually, which the coaches or just the skilled coaches give, is majorly about the warm up with the football or just some mobility drills and all those things. But if you look at from a strength and conditioning perspective, football needs a lot of power. It needs a good sprinting. It needs a good speed, change of direction, agility. These all components will be taken care when we are designing a strength and conditioning program for a footballer. So that's how his overall development of footballer is going to get enhanced. Now, for footballer, if he's a goalkeeper or if he's a midfielder, the performance or the program of the strength and conditioning program is going to change. Because if he's a goalkeeper, he's going to be more into the explosive zone where he has to have a good vertical jump, he has to dive, and all those things will come in the picture. But if he's a midfielder, it's more of running and changing his direction quickly. So his program is going to be different. The same thing applies for the badminton athlete as well. So we have to structure the program with the understanding the athlete's demand as well as the sports demand. So for badminton, if you take two athletes, both of them will not have the same program, because though badminton requires overhead smashing, you have to jump high in order to hit the shuttle. But if you have two athletes, one athlete might be very good in generating the overhead power. The other athlete might be very good in the upper body strength. So you have to make it. You have to figure out what exactly is required for your particular athlete. So the program will be highly customized depending upon the athlete's strengths and the weaknesses. And we always say that strength and conditioning, we always focus on the weaknesses of the athletes and to improve and to work on those weaknesses and to convert those weaknesses into strengths. So that's what is the basic motto of a strength and conditioning specialist. So that's how we work. The major difference is over there, as Sai also said, that you have to train the athlete right from their teens or right from their young age in order to specialize in any particular sport. So that is something which is more better in the other countries as compared to our country, because in our country directly it's like the people just start the sport specialization like when they're small only, that time only their parents are completely like कि मेरे बेटे को cricketer बनाना है या मेरे बेटे को footballer बनाना है. So it's very one track mind which is there. So there usually it is in the early ages, the trainings are very generalized and it is just training the athlete for improving his body preparedness irrespective of the sport. So even if you have a tennis athlete, the training for that young tennis athlete and the young footballer is going to be same at that early age. So though the tennis doesn't have that much high intense agility as compared to a soccer athlete, but yet he will be training for it. So when he is going back, when he is going as a professional player, that time, if by chance during his event, if he has to execute high level of agility, his body is already prepared for it, because initial years of his training was a generalized training where he has worked in all the qualities of the movements. But that is not happening in our country. In our country, what is it? If the athlete is going for any particular sport, the training is just in that particular direction. So, because when we see our cricketers, never ever they have trained for the agility or for the COD, a change of direction, or for the deceleration. So it's always a motto that ये सब चीजें लगती है for the football or for the soccer athletes. But that's not true. When a batsman is running, he needs to send a change of direction. When he hits one crease and he has to go to the other crease while taking a run. So he needs a change of direction. When the batsman is fielding, he needs a quickness, he needs the agility. So ये सब चीजें, yet it is lacking in our country, what we can say. It's only now the elite athletes are working on it, but the grassroots level pe these things are lacking. So that's the major difference which I perceive when we talk about the two different countries, that needs to be worked on. That's a very tricky question. And yes, because nowadays strength and conditioning has become so much glamorous, and now every fitness trainer or anybody who knows about fitness calls themselves as strength and conditioning specialists. But I would always give advice to all the athletes that whenever you're choosing a strength and conditioning specialist, please see whether that person is certified and certified from the good international global certifications, not some other some other courses. So just go for that. What is the actual education level of your coach? That is very crucial, because if they are in the wrong hands, then as we can say that as a good coach will delay the injuries, but if they are in the wrong hands, they might accelerate the injuries. So that should not happen. So just see the education levels of your coaches and just see what the certifications of what education they have taken in that particular area. So see, this depends upon the experience of the person and what is their education qualification. Because now I'm a strength and conditioning specialist plus a physical therapist, physiotherapist. So it's just like I always compare SNC with the medical school. So when we graduated, when I just graduated from a medical school, so we have just freshers. So our degrees like physiotherapy, that we are a physiotherapist, masters or bachelors, whatever we do. So that's just a license to enter into the industry. So my degree of masters of physiotherapy just gave me a license to work with the patients, to work with the athletes. So then after that, depends on that individual how they are going to accelerate that graph. So the same way, after doing the CSCS, that Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, you get that degree. So then your earning will depend on how much experience you gain after getting that degree. So that degree is just a license to train the athlete. It will not give that if your CSCS, you will earn this much amount. That's not possible. So as it's just like us as a doctor, so we get the license to enter a hospital scenario after our degrees. But as we progress in our experience, our earnings improve. The same thing happens with an SNC, but it is a full-time profession. It's a full-time career option, because now as Indian government is taking it very seriously, it's very, very focused about the sports development in our country. So all our SNC coaches are earning wonderfully good. So that's really a good thing. The scenario was different if you see 10 years behind the time, because that time the SNC coaches and all were there, they were really struggling with the current scenarios, because they had to literally explain or convince the sports coaches what is strength and conditioning and all those things, because it was very, very new. But the coaches which we have come now, and as we are propagating it so widely in India and the nearby regions, so our coaches are really earning well in the current scenario, and they are able to take it as their full-time profession and the career option. So because currently we are getting all our students, we have the physiotherapists who are taking strength and conditioning as their full-time business. We have the orthopedic surgeons. We have MBBS interns coming for our courses. So that is something which is wonderfully, there is a good switch from the target population what we were doing. And absolutely the professional athletes who have completed their career and now they are turning as a strength and conditioning coaches. So that's the wonderful opportunity as a career which we are currently pursuing.
So yes, so obviously, like who are into fitness, who are into sports, or playing at a good elite level, or involved in any kind of uh, physical activities. So obviously, their demands of proteins are a little higher. However, it is just a hyped nutrient, I would say, because a lot of athletes, they believe that carbs are not important or fats are not important. Eating carbs or eating fats will give them more fat in their body and put on more body weight, and they only just stick to high protein diets and all that. So yes, so definitely anything that you overdo or anything that is good, and if you overdo, that is also bad. So a balance is something that's important, right? Like I said in the start as well. So balance of uh, all the macronutrients would be carbohydrates, proteins, fats, as per the requirement of any kind of individual. So that could be a general person as well, or someone with a medical condition, or someone who is involved in any kind of physical activity or any sport activity as well. So the ratio of all these macronutrients will differ. So not just protein that is important. So one shouldn't be, just blindly have any kind of protein supplement or do any kind of high protein diets or have any kind of high protein bars as well. So every nutrient is important, and that should be very much goal specific. So nothing to, you shouldn't be overdoing any kind of stuff. Nothing in specific as such, I would say, but yes, there are specific nutrients that may help you have that good calming effect in our body, have that good relaxing, mind peace as well. So, for example, one classic example would be having, a glass of milk at night, which helps you boost up the tryptophan levels in our body, which gives you like a good sleep, which gives you like a calming effect. So there are certain types of functional foods which help you give that specific effect in our body. However, saying that, that's not one specific thing to do, or like not one specific thing that will give you one specific function or one specific benefit, but it's the overall balance of nutrients that will help you in mental health or any kind of physical health as well. So uh, the basic nutrients for good brain health or mental health would be, to have a good amount of carbohydrates or good amount of high or good quality fats, would be like mufa pufa rich healthy fats, which help you in in your brain health. So yeah, that's what is something that I would be very uh, basic about answering. Yes, definitely. Like over the time, I've been working with a lot of elite players, like right from IPL players, football players, powerlifting athletes. So obviously, like it's a game of consistency. Only if they're consistent with the process, with the things that they need to be there, only then the progress chart is, going to be up. So one classic example, one of my favorite cricketer that I've worked with and I still work with is Surya Kumar Yadav. So you must be knowing him. He plays for India and he plays for Mumbai Indians as well. So when he consulted, obviously, like he had good, he was a good player. He was a classic player all this time, but then he was facing some medical issues with his medical reports, as well as high body fat and weight as well. So improving his performance on in this couple of years, and we see him like just blasting there on the field. So that's one classic example, I would say. The second would be one of my client who is a fast bowler, Tushar Deshpande. He is also a very very disciplined guy who works on all aspects, right from nutritional training, mental health, all this, and he has been doing exponentially good in the field. So the speed that he was bowling at and the injuries that he was facing when he met, so that has drastically reduced, and he's really bowling at like 150 and all now. So working with him as well has been like a good experience for me. So I'm glad that I've been helping athletes from across sports disciplines as so yeah. So a minimum age, to be honest, would be as early as possible, because like I mentioned, once they are into any kind of training habits, and once they are burning out those energy, if there is no good muscle recovery, or if there is no good supply of nutrients that are necessary for that particular activity or that skill to work on the field, then those skills or those training habits are of no use. So like I said, to fuel those training habits or training schedule, or to fuel those skills that they have, nutrition is something that's more important. So also amateur players, they need to focus right from their young age, because that's like a growth spurt age where their body development and growth development is happening. At the same time, they're also exerting those much calories or those much that much energy on the field, and hence the requirements are a little heightened, and hence fueling should be correct so that there's good muscle form, not not much injuries or anything that's happening at that age, or there's good muscle adaptability that's happening at that age. So all these factors, they help at amateur at amateur level.
Okay.
Once they are up in their professional game later in the stage, then they already know what things that have worked for them in at younger age, or they might have already cultivated those eating habits correctly right from their younger age. So then in the later years of his life, it's not a big problem for them. They can easily catch up things and have that good muscle recovery as well. So yeah. Yes, so I consult with a lot of corporate athletes as well, who don't really play professionally. Like you said, they play on weekends for only weekend matches, and just at a recreational level. So obviously, like it's all about passion, I believe in. So obviously, they might not play for India, or they might not play at a elite level, but they have like a good passion for the sport, and that's the reason uh, they want to ace at any sport that they love. So that requires, that sport demands, if that sport demands good training habits, and if that sports demand certain things from them, then they are ready to do that. So yeah, I've been working with a lot of corporate athletes who are are playing quite at recreational level only.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We do get many athletes who are playing the sport for the recreational purpose, but not for the professional reason, and they are really taking it very seriously. And it's fun to train them as well, because now basically we get many of the marathoners who are because they are in the corporate field and they are very keen about running. So marathon is a big industry where we need strength and conditioning at a very, very high levels. And so that's the major population from a strength and conditioning perspective we get. Cricketers and football players and all is little less as compared to the marathon sport, but we do get them. So
Okay.
that's how it is. Yes, the beauty of strength and conditioning is, or the even the beauty of strength and conditioning is like we sometimes get very instant results
Okay.
because there was one national badminton athlete.
Okay.
So he was actually struggling with the like he used to really do well during his knockout rounds, but when it used to be the final match, always there was a psychological pressure and all those things used to happen, and he used to lose that. That was his history.
Okay.
And he came to us before just 14 days before his nationals. So, and that was, he was really having a good India ranking and the world ranking. But when he started, and before that, he never took any strength and conditioning because he was not aware about it. So, when he started with us, within 10 days, his overhead smashing, his chapping, and his all the moves, the badminton moves, wherever there is power and strength requirements, those were really enhanced within 10 days. Now, the reason for this, and the good thing is we are in India, therefore we get such results. The reason for this is our human body has a beautiful mechanism. We call it as a neuromuscular training. That is your brain and your muscle linkage is somewhere we work upon. So in this athlete or in such athletes, as you said that they just come 1 week before or 10 days before the match. So here we actually work on the neuromuscular control and the neuromuscular training. So within those 10 to 15 days, they are not actually becoming strong or they are not actually becoming very massive and something big thing is happening in their body. Nothing like that. But we are just training their brain to use their actual strength muscles at the appropriate time. So it's just teaching them how we teach small kids how to write A, how to write B. The same way we teach them how to use those muscles at that particular time frame. So even and the athletes who haven't took any strength and conditioning before, such athletes will only benefit from this particular way of training. But if you take a advanced level athlete, a elite level athlete, or a moderate level athlete, for them such methods will not work because their body is already conditioned and their brain has already learned. So it's just like you can teach a nursery kid what is A, what is B, what is C. You cannot teach a 10th class student what is A and what is B, and he will not get any benefits from that. So this is the beauty of the strength and conditioning, and it tremendously helps our athletes because in our country we get many such athletes who are never exposed to strength and conditioning or to such type of sport specific training. And for them, if we can give little push to them, their performance just exponentially changes. So that's the wonderful opportunity we have in currently for our Indian athletes. That's what I can say. So, as I told you that our government is really very much keen about it, and we have like our government has already jotted a plan for it for the 24 Olympics and for the 28 Olympics. So, and the candidates who are very young right now, they are just 12 years or 13 years and something like that is the age of our athletes. They have been selected already for under the some big schemes of the government. So, and we are really, and all the new strength and conditioning coaches which have been recruited by the Sports Authority of India, they are really focusing on all these athletes. So, we are very much optimistic, like all of us are very much optimistic for the 24 and the 28 Olympics. Not for the immediate Tokyo one, because definitely, as we told, that takes a lot of planning. So, when we talk about Olympics, as it's always said, that it's not every 4 years, but it's every fourth minute we have to work on our athlete. So therefore, it will take some time, but the 24 and 28 Olympics is really we are going to rock in those Olympics.
So, so firstly, like Apurva also said that qualifications are the must. So, good quality certification like a master's degree would, be preferred for any athlete to prefer for a nutritionist. Because obviously they learn more about physiology, they learn more about human biology and supplements and foods and effects rather than a short-term course. So obviously they know better. Uh, First thing would be the qualifications. The second thing would be the experiences that a specific nutritionist is having. So that could be sports specific as well as overall as well. So secondly would be the experiences, and the third thing would be the results of those particular experiences. For example, any kind of transformations or the experiences in terms of how athlete has been evolved over the time. So all these three things are something that the athlete should prefer seeing in any kind of nutritionist that they consult for. Yes, I've been working with in training the current nutritionists, like who are budding nutritionists. So I also have been taking lectures in some colleges as well as my college in teaching certain subjects to them, and that's where I've been contributing in training those budding athletes, budding nutritionists. So as we all see that sport is booming in India. So every sport, not just cricket, but we see swimmers, we see powerlifters, we see smallest like kabaddi sport is just growing just exponentially. So there's a lot of things sports is giving. So there's a good scope in that in sports nutrition. And because there is good awareness also of nutrition and right eating habits for an athlete, so they are looking for working with the nutritionist more and more. So definitely there is a lot of scope in this field. So yes, one shouldn't hesitate, I think, if they are more passionate to the sport, or they're more passionate in learning and working there for the athletes. I think they should take up this particular field.
So I thank you, Apurva madam and Saili madam,
Thank you so
for
much.
Thank you.
enlightening us about this sports science. And I wish that all parents and players understand the importance of this. And 2024 and 2028, as Madam said, Apurva Madam said, we are eagerly waiting for India to rock in Olympics. And I'm sure with professionals like you leading the sportsmen, India will definitely perform better. So I request all those who have not subscribed our channel, please do that. If you like this video, share with your friends, and thank you very much again for giving time. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you, Shirish
Thank
sir.
you, Saili. Thank you, Apurva. And we are glad to have both of you on our next esports issue. And we would like our viewers and readers to read your interview as well as watch it on our YouTube channel. It was a great speaking to you, basically, and we enjoyed it.